He suddenly felt an urge to go out and fight, now, this minute, out on the snow-covered fields outside the city. He felt embarrassed and ashamed that here at home there was vodka to drink in warmth, while out there his fellow cadets were freezing in the dark, the snow and the blizzard. They must be crazy at headquarters, the detachments were not ready, the students not trained, no sign of the Senegalese yet, and they were probably as black as a pair of boots. Christ, that meant they'd freeze to death. After all, they were used to a hot climate, weren't they? As for your hetman, Alexei Turbin was shouting, I'd string him up the first of all. He's done nothing but insult us for the past 6 months. Who was it who forbade us to form a loyalist Russian army in the Ukraine? The hetman. And now that things have gone from bad to worse, they've started to form a Russian army after all. The enemy's practically in sight, and now, we have to rake up troops, form detachments, headquarters, and in conditions of total disorder. Christ, what lunacy! You are spreading panic, Karas said coolly. Turbin lost his temper. Me? Spreading panic? You are simply shutting your eyes to the facts. I'm no panic monger. I just want to get something off my chest. Panic? Don't worry. I've already decided to go and enroll in that mortar regiment of yours tomorrow, and if your Malishev won't have me as a doctor, I shall enlist in the ranks. I'm fed up with the whole damn business. It's not panic. A piece of cucumber stuck in his throat. He began to cough furiously and to choke, and Nikolka started thumping him on the back. Well done. Karas chimed in, beating the table. In the ranks, hell, we'll fix you to be the regimental doctor. Tomorrow we'll all go along together, mumbled the drunken Myshlaevsky, all of us together. The whole of our class from the Alexander I High School. Hurrah! He's a swine, Turbin went on with hatred in his voice. Why, he can't even speak Ukrainian properly himself. Hell, the day before yesterday I asked that bastard Kuritsky a question. Since last November, it seems, he's forgotten how to speak Russian. Changed his name, too, to make it sound Ukrainian. Well, so I asked him what's the Ukrainian for cat? Kitty said. All right, I said, so what's the Ukrainian for kit? That finished him. He just frowned and said nothing. Now he doesn't say good morning any longer. Nikolka roared with laughter. Mobilization, huh? Turbin continued bitterly. A pity you couldn't have seen what was going on in the police stations yesterday. All the black marketeers knew about the mobilization 3 days before the decree was published. How do you like that? And every one of them had a hernia or a patch on his lung, and any one of them who couldn't fake lung trouble simply vanished as if he'd fallen through a hole in the ground. And that, my friends, is a very bad sign. If the word's going round all the cafes even before mobilization is officially announced and every shirker has a chance to dodge it, then things are really bad. Ah, the fool, if only he had allowed us to form units manned by Russian officers back in April, we could have taken Moscow by now. Don't you see? Here in the city alone he could have had a volunteer army of 50,000 men, and what an army! An elite, none but the very best, because all the officer cadets, all the students and high school boys and all the officers, and there are thousands of them in the city, would have gladly joined up. Not only would we have chased Petliura out of the Ukraine, but we would have reached Moscow by now and swatted Trotsky like a fly. Now would have been the time to attack Moscow. It seems they're reduced to eating cats. And Hetman Skoropadsky, the son of a bitch, could have saved Russia. Turbin's face was blotchy and the words flew out of his mouth in a thin spray of saliva. His eyes burned. Hey, you shouldn't be a doctor, you should be the Minister of Defense, and that's a fact, said Karas. He was smiling ironically, but Turbin's speech had pleased him and excited him. Alexei is indispensable at meetings, he's a real orator, said Nikolka. Nikolka, I've told you twice already that you're not funny, his brother replied. Drink some wine instead of trying to be witty. But you must realize, said Karas, that the Germans would never have allowed the formation of a loyalist army, they're too afraid of it. Wrong! Exclaimed Alexei sharply. All that was needed was someone with a good head on his shoulders, and we could have always come to terms with the hetman. Then we should have made it clear to the Germans that we were no threat to them. That war is over, and we have lost it. Now we have something much worse on our hands, much worse than the war, worse than the Germans, worse than anything on earth, and that is Trotsky. We should have said to the Germans, "You need wheat and sugar, don't you?" Right, take all you want and feed your troops.